I wonder what Kamala is up to today.
Hello? I don't know what to tell you, Barack.
As I bet her doctor is probably really busy as well, as there are some people that are still not willing to be defeated, as there are some really interesting undemocratic things at play here, as there's a concerted deep state and bureaucratic government officials that are plotting their coup and opposition against Donald Trump even before he became president of the United States. We actually reported on this to you a few months ago, as of course there was already preparations underway about how to specifically undermine and not carry out Donald Trump's agenda, which of course he will face stiff resistance against. This, as the whining, the crying has already started, especially by all the corporate media late night TV show prostitutes that are finding it very difficult to cope with their latest political loss.
Let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech. It was a terrible night for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security, for our allies in Ukraine, for NATO, for the truth and democracy and decency. And it was a terrible night for everyone who voted against him. And guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't realize it yet.
Yeah, I don't think he understands how he actually played a major role in electing Donald Trump, especially with some of his unhinged rants, as this kind of emotional hysteria does show the kind of non-logical aspects of modern entertainment that, of course, play on predominantly your emotions, as it looks like self-humiliation rituals are just a new thing now that, of course, garner you internet points and let you have more views. And sadly, there's a lot of crazy people that, of course, are playing into it, as the meltdowns continue on social media, as there are videos after videos of people just absolutely losing it. As it's fair to say, there definitely is a major mental health crisis inside of the United States. And what will some of these crazy, unhinged, mentally not well people do when Donald Trump actually becomes president of the United States? Well, that's something that, of course, we're going to be talking about in this specific video, as, of course, a lot of these people aren't just unhinged random people. They're also people a part of the current Democratic deep state inside of Washington, D.C., that hopefully soon will be getting fired.
Feral today. Feral! If you see me, keep walking. Do not make eye contact. Do not square up at me. Don't act like you know me. Like, I want to eat, like, maybe they voted for Kamala, but, like, I want to eat them right now. Like, I want to take a bite out of those glutes in a bad way.
Oh, Lordy. Hey, women get hangry sometimes, and then all hell breaks loose. Good tip for a lot of men that are dealing with, problems with their women. Just feed them.
If you're a Donald Trump supporter, you're ugly and dumb. And that's sad for you. And what's even sadder is that you don't even realize how ugly and dumb you are.
What a beaut she is herself, with that bull ring in her nose and diabetes.
Baby, if you wanted to touch my body, you should have voted for it.
Yeah, no, I'm okay, honey. I'm good. No, thank you.
If you're a conservative woman, here's how I'm gonna fix your life, okay? So you just got married to your husband. Your husband is blatant, just redneck garbage. You like him, though. For some reason, something there is clicking. I'm gonna seduce your husband. I'm going to look him in the eye, and I'm going to explain to him that nobody has ever made me feel the way he has. And I'm younger than you, conservative woman that married him.
Huh. I'm okay, Justin Bieber. We're fine. We don't need to. Nah, I'm cool. You got them crazy eyes anyway, as of course we still don't know the representation that we are going to have in Congress, which is going to be a major deciding factor in Donald Trump's agenda, as of course the races are down to the wire. As we might know today or tomorrow or 2 weeks from now about the larger balance of power within Congress that will be deciding the legislative agenda for the Donald Trump White House. As CNN is already getting out all the hyperbolic, sensationalistic headlines as they say Trump thinks presidents have near total power. There will be little to stop him in his second term. And again, more kind of fear-mongering. Just like The Guardian that just wrote this unhinged lunatic piece saying Trump has pledged to wage war on planet Earth. I don't know about you. I haven't seen a declaration of war personally. They go on and says, and it will take a progressive revolution to stop him. Oh, the progressives calling for revolution as they literally make the argument in this article that they have to secure democracy by doing undemocratic things. As of course, they're not the only ones calling for direct intervention that is absolutely undemocratic. As of course, while Joe Biden is still trying to figure out what exactly happened here, and the Democratic political party is pointing fingers at each other, he's looking like the man that actually was right all along. A man who was wronged, a man who was kicked out in a very unceremonious, undemocratic way, highlighting how the resistance, the Democrats, do a lot of things with an iron fist. Not with the will of the people, but the will of the special interests that just said, you know what, old yeller Joe Biden, even though in hindsight it looks like you were right all along, we don't care. We are going to oust you. There's not going to be a primary. The people are not going to decide this. We will decide who, of course, will be campaigning, who will be your candidate, not you, the plebs, the people. And, of course, we have to understand by those kind of larger decrees and actions that have always been represented by their party, by their people in power, this is their modus operandi. This is how they operate. Now, the question will be, did Donald Trump learn his lesson from the first time that he was in political office till now to not be usurped, kneecapped, and destroyed like he was during his first political tenure? As it's fair to say that his first term was dealt with a lot of controversy, a lot of conspiracies surrounding him and allegedly Russia. A lot of key members of Donald Trump's staff that represented anti-establishment figures like Steve Bannon, Michael Flynn, were literally ousted from his administration within the first days, even sometimes before they even started. As there were active, deliberate efforts that were successful that, of course, deliberately stopped a lot of his populist agenda from being implemented, while, of course, more favorable neoconservative establishment policies were, of course, rushed forward. Now, will that happen now? Some people are saying no. Some people are saying yes. But what we're seeing from the unhinged media, I think, is truly dangerous. And that's why independent media is always a counter to them, and why there has been such a deliberate effort to try to, of course, stop independent media. As, of course, we're facing those larger efforts right now, as we just have been dealt a major, huge financial blow by the IRS a few weeks ago, which hasn't been fun to deal with. I've been on the phones with lawyers. Lawyers are very expensive. We're trying to fundraise now in order to hire a good lawyer to help us figure out what's going on here. And of course, we're doing that right now on SaveLukeNow.com. And instead of just asking for a handout, sure, if you want to donate, we greatly appreciate your donations on wearechange.org/donate. We have the link on SaveLukeNow.com. But what we decided to do is we got 100 limited edition hats. We're not doing any more. We're selling them at a little bit of a premium of $50. I will sign it if you want me to sign it. Signed hats will be mailed out to you. There will be only 100 of these. They read "Make America Not Fat Again." And it's one of the slogans that I thought was kind of funny this political cycle. You can see the hat here and behind me and over there. And we special ordered these. We're not going to do any more. And if you want an important kind of piece on your mantle or your wall or something just to have around to help culture jam, to have something that's a limited edition item, but also help us get a lawyer, get this hat, and get, of course, the signs that will also be signed on SaveLukeNow.com. The website is in the description. And we truly do appreciate everyone's help and support. Wow, seriously, thank you so much for everyone participating, everyone helping, and everyone kind of helping us get back on our feet here as this is not an easy situation to deal with, but we're going to do the best we can to, of course, figure out what's going on here and then try to move forward in some kind of financial secure way. So yeah, check out savelukenow.com if you appreciate independent media and, of course, don't like the corporate media that literally is calling on for the deep state and intelligentsia to get involved when, of course, it comes to stopping Donald J. Trump. As Chris Hayes on MSNBC literally went on an unhinged rant calling for the deep state to intervene and stop Donald Trump.
The House, we're not going to know for weeks, but it's possible that Donald Trump and the Republicans will have a trifecta as they did in 2016. In which case, the bulwark, against whatever overreach there could be and whatever those depredations might be, and I think you're going to have a tendency to overreach if they do, is the kind of thing that's democracy between elections, which is the work of civil society, it's the work of the Fourth Estate, it's the work of institutions, it's the work of citizens. All that's super important stuff. We've seen it before.
Again, their definition of democracy seems a little skewed, seems a little totally off there, as, of course, democracy usually means, the will of the majority, the will of the people. Again, I'm not a big fan of democracy myself, but it's fair to say that ruling elites and institutions like the CIA undemocratically going up against the will of the American people with how they voted and implementing their agenda against what the people actually wanted is not democratic. I don't know what kind of insane kind of world that they live in, but of course the resistance is going to be making a comeback in 2025, and it is going to be a very kind of serious force to deal with and reckon with, just like we saw in 2016. As of course we could expect the same kind of shenanigans, the same kind of craziness, the same kind of larger hyperbolic emotional manipulation of the American public to, of course, put us on the edge here, and truly what they are doing is not good for this country, not good for government, as this will create a lot of chaos in our society, as of course Rachel Maddow, who looks almost exactly like Chris Hayes, had this to say on MSNBC, talking about how U.S. military leaders and media personalities need to resist Donald Trump so he, quote, doesn't become authoritarian, as she's literally calling for authoritarian means and ways to stop Trump.
Think about what other countries have shown us about how hard it is to regain democratic ground once an authoritarian leader has taken that ground. And the work has to be done now. The work that has to be done now, it has to happen in sort of every aspect, every corner of our society. The U.S. military needs to give the American people binding assurances that they will not deploy U.S. military force against the civilian population in this country. They can give those assurances, and now they should. The free press needs to give the people of this country assurances that they will not become state TV, that they will stand and fight together. They will put aside rivalries and petty professional differences. They will stand and fight together as the free press, as the Fourth Estate, as an institution that is a pillar of our democracy, as these guys on the other side inevitably start picking off individual journalists, individual publishers, individual news organizations to try ultimately to turn us all into some American accented version of RT.
What insane delusion? Are you freaking kidding me? Again, you look at Trump's rule in 2016. You look at Biden's rule after 2020, and you look at who used the more kind of authoritarian powers. You look at the kind of party that, of course, imprisoned people for memes, imprisoned people for protest, used the apparatuses of the intel agencies in order to censor speech online. And it is the Democratic political party, okay? It is overwhelmingly Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's administration, as, of course, Donald Trump was literally sitting on his hands as major portions of this country was burning down during, quote, mostly peaceful but fiery rallies all around this country. As, of course, the corporate media literally is talking about the inverse of exactly what was going on here. As to go up against Trump's agenda, many months ago, U.S. politicians were literally talking about how to Trump-proof the future of the war in Ukraine, saying specifically that we had to finance and pass legislation that Congress was working on trying to pass, by the way, that wanted to, of course, fortify aid and military assistance to Ukraine so that war could continue no matter what Donald Trump would say or want to do himself. Again, going up against his agenda, as of course, this was something that was extremely eye-opening and, of course, made me want to specifically support Donald Trump more, as there were underhanded ways to continue wars even if he got elected. Well, he did get elected. As Bloomberg has an article here talking about how Trump's second term needs to be met with preparation, not panic, as of course the bureaucratic deep state has been preparing for this, and we shouldn't be fooling ourselves, as of course they have been implementing protocols, laws, rules, and of course challenges to his leadership. As foreignpolicy.com just released an article saying before Trump returns, Congress should buy weapons for Ukraine. That of course will allow them to continue the war and put Donald Trump at a disadvantage at the negotiations tables with them. As of course, that's exactly what they're doing here, as Politico is reporting that Biden team is preparing to rush last-minute aid to Ukraine. And it's not Biden, it's the deep state, it's the intelligentsia, it's the Pentagon, it's the military-industrial complex that's trying to take their last pieces of silver off of the sinking Titanic boat. A boat that they sank themselves, and of course will be making money off of its destruction as well. Now, Reuters is reporting that the U.S. military is ready to carry out lawful orders for the next Trump administration in order to avoid politics. But that's not what's happening behind the scenes here, as of course they are doing things. And this is going to be a very dangerous Biden administration and his intelligentsia controlled like henchmen that will be doing a lot of really crazy things in between now and January 20th. As of course, Trump's presidency has already created a chilling effect in the Middle East, as Hamas is talking about larger peace deals that need to be initiated after his presidential victory. Now, it's also important to note here, Hamas has called for peace and truces and deals before the victory as well. But it's fair to say that under Donald Trump leadership, especially if we untangle the larger kind of international alliances that have coalesced with Ukraine, that this will be a vital portion to, of course, release some of the tensions with Iran, with North Korea, and eventually, of course, Russia as well. As personally, this larger kind of thwarting of Donald Trump's efforts isn't just happening with foreign policy. It's also going to be happening with a lot of different major institutions in our country that are soon going to be drastically changed. As, of course, RFK Jr. just released this video describing all the poisons in our food here that, of course, he will be dealing with when he will be stepping into the Oval Office with Donald Trump. Ross Ulbricht will still be freed, which I'm looking forward to tremendously, as we have to understand, even though Donald Trump won the Electoral College, won the popular vote, won the Senate, maybe will win Congress as well. The fight is just beginning, as the resistance will, of course, do everything in their power in order to prevent him from being able to carry out any orders in a very undemocratic, fascistic, authoritarian way. Hopefully, those individuals will be fired. Hopefully, the will of the people will be, of course, represented. And hopefully, there'll be a lot less government and a lot more freer people here in the United States, as it looks like America and its untapped energy resources, its untapped potential, its IQ will be unleashed, especially with the getting rid of fluoride in our public drinking water. Lots of amazing things at play here. And I don't know about you. I'm excited, but I'm cautious because things are not going to be as easy as a lot of people think that they are. What do you think is going to be happening? Let me know down in the comment section below. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys very much, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys getting these hats. Again, limited edition hats, savelukenow.com. I appreciate you guys so much from the bottom of my heart for standing here with us. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on youtube.com/wearechange.